The morning light crept slowly over the rolling Montana plains, painting the horizon in bands of gold and rose. It should have been peaceful, just another day on Harper Ranch, but instead, the air carried a strange, uneasy stillness. The storm from the night before had torn through the valley, flooding the lower pastures and leaving behind a trail of wreckage, fallen fences, uprooted bushes, and deep pockets of mud where solid earth had once been. Inside the barn, Clara Morgan's boots squelched against the damp floorboards as she burst through the doors, her breath coming in ragged gasps. "Deeper. Please. I can't take it anymore." Her voice cracked, raw from shouting against the wind for hours. Mud streaked her jeans and the sleeves of her flannel shirt, and her auburn hair clung to her wet cheeks. But it wasn't herself she was pleading for. It was for Daisy, her chestnut mare, the only creature left from the life she had before. Rancher Luke Harper, still half asleep from a restless night, froze mid-step. He had just picked up his coffee mug when he heard her cry. The tone wasn't anger or frustration, it was terror. He didn't even think. The mug shattered on the floor as he ran out into the morning mist, following the sound of her voice across the yard. When he reached the old well by the creek, he saw the scene that would haunt him forever. Clara was waist-deep in mud, clawing at the earth with bleeding hands, her body trembling with exhaustion. The ground around her had collapsed into a sinkhole, one of the new ones that had opened after the storm, and Daisy was trapped inside it. The horse's chest and neck were barely visible above the thick sludge, her eyes wide with panic, nostrils flaring as she struggled to breathe. "Clara!" Luke shouted, skidding to a stop. "Stop digging. You'll get pulled under." But Clara didn't even look up. Her hands moved faster, scooping mud away from Daisy's body as if sheer will could free her. "She's slipping, Luke. She's slipping. I can't let her go." Luke's pulse hammered in his ears. He could see the danger clearly. The unstable ground, the suctioning pull of the wet clay, the tremor in the earth with every desperate movement. Another few feet, and she'd be gone too. He took a cautious step closer, feeling the soft ground shift beneath his boots. "Clara," he said, his voice low, steady, trying to reach through her panic. "Listen to me. We'll get her out, but not like this. You have to move back." Her eyes met his for a fleeting second, and he saw it, the terror, the love, the refusal to surrender. "I can't," she whispered. "She saved me once. I won't leave her." And then Daisy let out a low, pitiful groan. The sound tore through the air, heavy with fear. Clara's resolve broke. She sobbed once, then bent down again, sinking deeper into the mud. Luke's breath caught. He felt something inside him fracture, the line between reason and instinct snapping. For the first time in years, the man who had built his life around control and silence let his body move before his mind. He dropped the rope and jumped into the pit the instant Luke's boots hit the mud, the cold slammed into him like a fist. It wasn't just freezing. It bit through his jeans and straight into his bones. The world narrowed to the sounds of gasping breath, sloshing mud, and Daisy's panicked whinnies echoing through the open pasture. The storm clouds still hung low overhead, turning the morning light a dull silver. "Luke! No!" Clara shouted as he waded toward her. "You'll get stuck too." "Too late for that," he grunted, his hands already sinking into the sludge beside her. The ground trembled, sucking at their legs with each movement. Every time Daisy tried to kick, the mud tightened its grip on her. Clara tried to push the horse's head up, whispering through tears, "It's okay, girl. It's okay. We've got you." Luke's eyes darted around for something, anything, they could use for leverage. His gaze landed on the old winch bolted to the fence post a few yards away. It hadn't been used in years, but maybe, just maybe. He turned to Clara, mud dripping from his chin. "We're not strong enough to pull her out by hand. We'll use the rope. Get ready to loop it under her chest." Clara's fingers trembled, but she nodded. Together they worked silently, their breath coming in sharp clouds. The rope was slick with rain, the mud heavier than concrete. Each second felt longer than a minute. Luke could feel his muscles burning, his pulse pounding in his ears, but he didn't stop. Not when Clara's tears fell into the mud, not when his own arms began to shake. "On three," he said finally. 1, 2, 3. They pulled with everything they had, their bodies straining against the weight. The rope creaked, the winch groaned, and Daisy let out a desperate cry as the suction began to break. The horse's front legs lurched upward, splattering them with thick clumps of mud. "Keep going," Clara screamed, her voice cracking. "Don't stop, Luke." He didn't. He couldn't. It was as if every ounce of pain, guilt, and loneliness he'd buried over the years had found purpose in that moment. His boots slipped, his hands burned, and then, suddenly, the resistance gave way. Daisy lunged forward, collapsing onto solid ground, shaking violently but free. For a heartbeat, there was silence. Then the mare began to breathe again, shallow at first, then stronger. Clara stumbled to her knees, wrapping her arms around Daisy's neck, sobbing with relief. "You're safe. You're safe," she whispered over and over. Luke sank back against the mud, panting, his whole body trembling. His chest hurt, his vision blurred, but he didn't care. He'd done it. They'd done it. Clara turned to him, her face streaked with tears and dirt. "You froze," she said softly, her voice breaking. "I thought you were going to walk away like everyone else." He looked up at her, eyes weary but steady. "Yeah," he said, a faint smile tugging at the corner of his mouth. "Guess I finally learned when not to stand still." The wind rustled through the wet grass, and for the first time since the storm, the clouds began to break apart. Light spilled across the field, catching the edges of the mud and turning it to gold. Clara smiled through her tears. The ranch was quiet again, except for Daisy's slow, steady breathing, and the sound of two hearts still racing in rhythm.